All right, guys, welcome to Coach's Corner, the best part of the stream. This is the first one of 2017. Much delayed, and thanks for joining us for this one. We'll be going through really a methodology of preparing for bosses and really learning anything in life. Something called the Feynman technique, or the Feynman technique, sorry. Some of you may be familiar with that. And then we'll be going through every single boss in Nighthold on normal and heroic to prepare you guys, the majority of raiders, so you're more or less set and ready to go for bosses coming this Tuesday or Wednesday for you fun EU people. We will be beta testing it and finalizing any bugs and tuning issues there are, I'm sure, this coming Tuesday for you guys. So I know in chat here we have a lot of people. If you guys have questions, feel free to ask them. I'll have the question period after every boss or anytime I can. Midges has notes pulled up for me. So we'll be going through every single boss with videos and explanations and things like that. We're not going to be covering mythic mechanics because mythic raiders should have already prepped at this point. And the majority of our viewer base is not the higher end mythic raiders. And truthfully, you know, as even the average mythic raiding guild, a lot of the strats and videos come by from the top 10 guilds once they have their own strats finalized and it's all revealed to everybody else and that kind of stuff. So we're not going to spend too much time on that. But for those of you that do have notebooks out or whatever for class, that's great. I mean, you do want to have some kind of notes because raiding is serious business. Whatever, it's a hobby you enjoy, love it. Now, what I do want to start with is how to start researching these encounters, right? So one of the interview questions I often ask, I've been asking my recent apps is, hey, what kind of research have you done for Nighthold? And obviously, one of the most common answers is, oh, I haven't really done anything. I'll watch a couple of videos beforehand. Okay, well, that's probably not the kind of prep that I would want from the average Mythic Raider. Other ones have done extensive PTR testing. They've watched all the videos. They know them inside and out. On Heroic, whatever, they may not have first-hand experience sometimes, but at least they've done their research and they understand the fight. It is really important to understand why certain things happen, where to stand for them, what to prioritize, that kind of stuff. And now, with the Feynman technique, you can really learn anything. So let's say you want to learn a boss. Let's say it is, Skorpyron. Skorpyron, the first boss of Nighthold. Well, okay, so step one is choosing the topic. So you focus on Skorpyron as the topic of what you want to learn. And second step is you want to write an explanation of the concept or explain the boss, right? Use plain English. So when I use a lot of these explanations today, it's all plain English. It's not the circles or the swirls on the ground. It's balls, right? There's gonna be so many balls tonight that you guys will either hate or love balls. And now what you want to do is you want to write things down. So I've got, my 10 pages of notes for you guys today, but it's all written down as if I was teaching a brand new person, right? Like as a brand new student, right? It's, some things aren't really included that aren't super relevant. Like you can't, like on Skorpyron, for instance, you can't attack the outside ads or they take reduced damage until they're actually in combat, so there's no point attacking the small little scorpions. That stuff's not super relevant for most players, so it's really the most important stuff. So write it down as if you were to teach it to your raider. So those of you in the various Zeros to Heroes raid teams out there, or the DJ teams or whatever, as if you were the raid leader, how would you teach this fight to everybody else, right? Step 3 is review it. So you've gone through everything, you've looked at the videos, you've watched it, you've gone through your strat. Okay, well, what are you unfamiliar with? So go back to the material, the dungeon journal, the logs, the videos, the fat boss guides, the Sparty guide here or whatever, and relearn it, right? It's important to relearn those things rather than to just sort of, okay, I'm going to learn it on the fly. I'm a great raider. That's fantastic, right? That's awesome that you're an awesome raider. However, how many wipes is it going to take you to learn? How many wipes could have been prevented, right, of your 25-person heroic team or your mythic team had you done the prep beforehand, right? And then the last step is when we explain these encounters, we don't want to use really wordy language. It's Axions on Helia. Listen, don't care. Purple orbs, green orbs, what do they do? What's important? Right? Like for the majority of players. On Gul'dan, there's purple circles, right? What do we want to call them? It doesn't matter. The green balls, it's a big ring of fire, whatever it is. So, So when you're teaching these to your raiders, again, simple language, and use analogies. You're going to see me use tons and tons of analogies. Hey, like this boss, like Lei Shen, like Manaroth, like this boss in this dungeon, because you guys have seen so many of these abilities already. So with that, we're going to get started with Skorpyon. So Skorpyon's the first boss in the instance. It is a pretty fun one. You know, at this point, I wish I had my third monitor set up because I could totally use this. So this is a great AoE fight. I'm going to pull this up for you guys. I've got my notepad or my video here. Let's pull up. We're going to watch Sparty's VODs. Midges was nice enough to highlight these for me. Perfect. This is the right time. All right. So we're going to pull up these VODs, and I'll be going through the different abilities, that kind of stuff. The VOD will be muted for you guys, so you won't see sort of, you know, what's happening. But yeah, this is Skorpyon. This is on Heroic. I believe we did a 15-person raid test. We actually overhealed it. Can you guys see this? Yeah, we actually overhealed it. Because we didn't need that many healers for this size raid group. But there's a number of different abilities that you guys should be aware of. And one of the best positions for this boss is a fairly centralized position. The closer you have him to the middle, the better it is. Now, we put up 4 different markers to make it easier on the tanks for the Arcane Tether ability, as well as where people should be standing. I'll show the pictures to you guys later, but I'll go through some of the abilities here step by step. So this is a great AoE fight, as well as a great single target fight for those that assign it. Treat this boss as a dragon. What do dragons do? Well, they breathe. Don't stand in front of the dragon or Skorpion ever. He has a big frontal ability that will absolutely murder you. Do not stand with the tanks. But he doesn't have a tail. Don't worry about his tail there. He won't tail swipe you. So the majority of the raid, again, he should be centralized. He's a little bit off position here. But yeah, we have our tank there, a little bit by Skull. And periodically, the spiders, you see the Skorpions come out. Now the first ability that comes out is the Focused Blast. This ability is super easy to dodge. Focus Blast, it targets a player. That's typically a ranged or healer in the raid. If you're all stacked in together, well, guess what? It's going to target all of you guys because that's the spot, so you're all going to have to move. So what we did is we tried to centralize the boss and spread around in a circle, and I can't draw for you guys, but spread around in a circle or different points, so only one group would have to move or a second group. And basically, it's a frontal stun. If you get hit by it, there's the ability there that just went off. It stuns anybody in place. So there, nobody got hit. That big pincer thing is the frontal ability of the boss as well. And the blue little crystals are parts of his shell that are coming off. Those parts of the shell are super, super important. Because you'll need to use them to hide behind later on. Again, there's plenty of weak cores that we'll share with you guys too. So here on normal and heroic, you get these little crystalline scorpions. Well, what do? They get stronger over time. Just AoE them down. Bring them by the tail, murder them, have fun AoE, demon hunters, whatever class likes to AoE. The other thing is these volatile ones. So you see it's marked with a skull right now. The volatile ones will do additional damage to those that are nearby. So prioritize those things right away. If you can switch off to them, do so. Blow them up and cleave off of the volatiles. There we go. So little crystals are spawning. And you can see our timers there going off right now. So there's that big slash, that frontal Arcano slash is what the tanks have. Now, what the tanks are going to do is they're going to be dancing between 2 markers ideally. So in order to break their tether, they need to go from Skull to X and back and forth. So we just alternate tanks back and forth between those steps ideally. Yeah, as Zorania says, they spawn every 20 seconds in PTR. We'll see what the testing is exactly. So Focus Blast, this one again, this is the ability that will stun you. Don't stand by it. Super easy to dodge. Just move, right? Like, don't just, RP walk, but move. There we go, and looks like somebody was stunned by that one. Yeah, somebody was stunned by that one. So again, more ads spawn. And now once you see the shockwave soon, in the middle of the screen, once that goes to 100, the ability will be off cooldown, and he will now use the Shockwave ability. The Shockwave is super important, really the most important one here, and the most dangerous ability, because it will knock you backwards. So if you're not hiding behind a crystal, it will knock you backwards. This includes tanks. So as a tank, it's important to position yourself in such a way that you can get to those crystals in time. So don't be off in Zimbabwe, but be close enough to the crystals, obviously not facing the raid because of the big slash, that you can hide behind the crystals. All the meanwhile, we're AoEing those ads. Here it says move to crystalline thing, and then there's a shockwave. And you can see one of the tanks, I think that's Towley or somebody, got knocked back to the wall. Luckily, there were no scorpions there, but somebody else got knocked back, and then you will pull more scorpions, taking additional damage. You want to avoid this, right? You want to have as few enemies to kill, and you just want to burn the boss as much as possible. Periodically, they do spawn, like Zerania said, every 20 seconds or so, through the Call of the Scorpion there. You can see on the right side, there is the exoskeleton vulnerability, so he takes a little bit more damage. He takes less damage and then more damage as the shells break off. So at this point, we're going to hero because he's going to get that vulnerability. And more crystals are spawning. Now, those crystals spawn near players. Their first iteration of beta, it was really, really crazy because the tanks could never get to them. So it does spawn near players. Wherever you are, expect the crystals to spawn near you. There's the Focus Blast again. Super easy to dodge. Nobody got hit by that one. More calls of the Scorpion. So he's calling more Scorpions to us. The off tank picks them up. I mean, there's a pretty easy tank swap here. Kill the ads, do a couple stacks, and then tank swap. It's a fairly straightforward encounter. Here comes Shockwave soon. So here comes a Shockwave, DBM. DBM's awesome. Says move to crystalline fragments. So we're going to hide behind them. And now, I don't have the weak aura running right now, but there's a weak aura that shows if you are safe. There's a big safe weak aura that I will share with you guys in a second here, thanks to Relo. There's the frontal ability. You can see it. Again, it's one big, wide path line down the middle. And there's the big frontal attack. So again, don't be in front. If you use more of a central position, even close to the middle than this, that makes it a lot easier for everybody to dodge. Just back and forth there. And you see our tank, he ran from purple to red to drop his debuff because of the actual tether ability. There are lots of big explosions. Here comes the, so this is Focus Blast. So this is where it can get trickier. Sometimes they're going to line up pretty close to each other. It's Focus Blast, which is the frontal, and then Shockwave, which is the knockback. So here we're going to AoE. It's okay, we're going to Shockwave, so hide behind the crystalline fragments. So you do have to get right next to them. You can't just hide 5 yards behind one. You do need to get right close to one, so you have the weak aura applied to you. Yeah, Lenzarani says he's vulnerable at 75, 50, and 25%. Now there's one more. So there's the Focused Blast. Or Energies, rather. There's the Arcano Slash. So at this point, the tank has him too close to the wall, right? If you have him too close to the wall, well, then more Scorpions are going to fall or come to the raid. Again, you want him centralized as much as you can. But it is a pretty straightforward encounter. It's a great first introductory encounter. For the raid. I mean, it's great. It's AoE, blow shit up, don't stand in bad, that kind of stuff. Okay, at this point he has the vulnerability again, and then he's going to end up with a Shockwave as well soon. But look what happens with the timings. So Focus Blast here. So crystals are spawning, but even though Shockwave says soon, and he has 100 energy, he does his Focus Blast first. So don't confuse the two. Right? Don't hide behind there. So you see the guys on the left side there got stunned. Looks like one of the mages got stunned as well. So they ice blocked, and that's fine. And they got knocked back. You can see the big ice block getting knocked back, and then spawns more Scorpions. So that's where they got confused, and they should not have. Yeah, little meme Mancer died. They should not have gotten stunned because they spawned more Scorpions, and then all these Scorpions do more damage, and it's not a fun time. And then on Mythic, there's more and more Scorpions. So on normal, the volatile Scorpions are not around. There's the Focus Blast again, easy to dodge. And on normal, the volatile Scorpions are not there, just the regular blue ones, AoE them, super easy. And then on Heroic are the volatiles, which will do the additional damage. Yeah, on Alpha, I mean, there were plenty of issues, which is why we test these bosses, right? So Kitsuki says, she got knocked between the crystals and you got stuck in the wall. Hopefully that's been fixed and remedied at this point. But yeah, it's a pretty straightforward boss. When he's doing his Focus Blast, don't stand there. When he's doing his Shockwave, hide behind a crystal, otherwise AoE ads, and don't stand in front. It is a pretty straightforward encounter, not crazy difficult. We didn't 3-tank it. I mean, some guilds may be 3-tanking later on, on Mythic because of the Green Scorpion, but we'll see. We'll see what kind of damage requirement it is. And just do remember that Mythic Nighthold is not tuned for 54 traits. If you have 54 traits, hey, fantastic, you will have an easier time. The only encounter tuned for 54 traits is Mythic Gul'dan. So you heroic raiders out there, don't feel pressure to get more and more traits. Even the the lower end Mythic raiders, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal whatsoever. So that is Skorpyron in a